Let's draw and paint this pair of strange old door with an even stranger and sinister looking mask. I am using a Stillman and Birn Nova beige colored paper for painting this illustration. I am using a different approach than the normal one I use, which means I am going to put some paint on the paper first, and once it is dry, I am going to draw the sketch. As you can see here, I am literally pouring the paint over the paper because I am going to paint it in a very loose style. Once the paint is dry, I am going to sketch the outline using a ballpoint pen. The main focus of this illustration is the mask and the doors. Everything else is a vignette. So accordingly, you should keep your line work very crisp and precise for the mask and the doors. For everything else, the line work can be quite loose. Pay special attention to the mask because that is the main attraction of this illustration. The doors are almost coming out of their hinges, so they must be drawn in a crooked fashion. Draw some stones overlapping the lowermost edge of the doors. Once you are done drawing the doors, start drawing the foliage around the doors. This can be drawn in a very loose manner. Remember, the job of this foliage is to create a vignette around our main subjects and to draw attention to these main subjects. Start adding darkest values using a thick tip pen. Darken the gaps between the doors and the door frames, and also darken the lower parts of the horizontal wooden planks on the doors. Add some dark values to parts of the mask to create a 3D effect. Use a thin-tipped technical pen to create some texture effects on the wood of the doors. Here I am using black acrylic ink to add some dark values to the picture. You may use a black ink or you may use a black technical pen to create the same effect. Now let's start adding some colors to the door frame. To paint such old wood, my choice of colors is burnt sienna, burnt umber and raw umber for browns and sap green, olive green for greens. Use a generous mixture of browns and greens to paint this old wood. For highlights, you may use various shades of yellow and orange. For the wild foliage around, I am using spattering to create some random shapes. Keep adding layers of browns, greens, oranges and yellows until you are satisfied with the color. Once the color is dried, start refining the lines using black ballpoint pen. Some of the lines may have been obscured because of the color. We need to refresh these lines. Begin adding some definition to the background foliage by drawing some branches and leaves. Keep adding some dark values to the background foliage so that more details are visible. Add some dark values below these tones to give them that 3D effect. Use greens and browns to paint these tones to create a moss covered effect. To paint this thick foliage, I am using a crumpled piece of plastic. I dip this crumpled piece of plastic in the watercolor and directly apply it over the paper. First I applied sap green followed by lemon yellow and orange on top of it. You can also create textural effect by spreading wet watercolor using your fingers like this. I used Payne's Grey, which is a bluish grey color, for the mask. Now spatter some poster white to create some additional textural effects. Once the paint has dried, use a white gel pen to add some finishing touches. Keep this pen work confined to mostly the doors and the mask, which are our main subjects. Once the highlights are done, you will notice how much pop they create in our illustration. You can really notice these highlights on the mask. From here onwards, it's totally up to you how much more finishing you want to add to your illustration. We have now finished our illustration. I hope you enjoyed watching this demonstration. If yes, consider hitting that like button like right now. If you haven't subscribed to the channel already, please subscribe and press that bell icon to get regular notifications. You can find more about me on my website. Thank you once again and happy painting.